What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to G-Ball Vision. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Megaron Knives Valona. This is one of my favorite all-time budget knives right here, guys. And we're going to get into why. First off, we're going to kick it off with the price. These are coming in around 50 bucks. And you might be thinking, well, this is a cheap piece of junk or something like that. No, it's definitely not. We're getting 14C 28N on the blade steel. You have a PVD coating here that is held up extremely well. You have a nice low drop point blade, a fuller running the whole length of that blade. You also get a very well done flipper tab that's got jimping on it, and you can easily push button this guy as well. The fuller is accessible on both sides, so you can thumb and reverse flick this guy all day long. It's actually satisfying as well because the detent is tuned to absolute perfection. Kicking that 3 3/4 inch blade out there, there's nothing quite like flipping this big old boy out. It just feels awesome. It is a big folding knife. This is not your grandfather's folder right here. This is a beast. You are looking at 3 3/4 inches of 14C. You have a crown spine here. You have G10 handles, and the liners sit a little proud, and in this case, I like it. It looks good. It looks clean. They also make a mini version of this. They also have some newer versions of this out with like a G Mascus, I believe. Those are going to be a touch more because they're new. They're a little bit more into them. But this bad boy is still perfectly centered. Lockup is sitting pretty at like 20%, 25%. A touch early, but we're going to get into that here in a second. You have a nice titanium milled clip there, and it's going to be reversible for our lefty brothers out there. G10 backspacer. You have a lanyard hole there. Clean pivot, got the Megaron emblem there on the front, and there is absolutely nothing on the show side of this blade. You have the little marking there of 14C 28N. You have a bronzed pivot collar. I absolutely love this thing, guys. The people who have experienced this knife know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't experienced this knife and you're looking to kind of scratch that itch when it comes to getting a new knife, this is definitely one that I would highly recommend. Coming in at 9 inches overall, you're getting almost 3 7/8 inches of cutting edge and then 4 inches of total blade length. So the 3 3/4 is not quite the right spec when it comes to viewing the online specs. More of a 4-inch blade here with almost 4 inches of cutting edge. You're looking at about 5.4 ounces. So a little bit, for a 9-inch knife, though, all steel liners, that's really not that bad at all. We'll go ahead and check that crown spine for its thickness. It is a touch thick, not anything abnormal, but you are up around 135, which isn't bad at all. This is not meant to be, your everyday slicer. This is supposed, kind of built more for, a little bit harder use in a sense. You're looking at about 12 to 13 thousandths behind the edge here, which is not bad at all. We'll go ahead and throw a few comparisons up here against this guy. We'll work our way up the line back order, or the back way this time around. Bug out and 20.5, both going to be quite a bit smaller than this guy. We'll throw up the Deca, going to be quite a bit smaller as well. RSK, going to be quite a bit smaller again. Pair 3, smaller. And we have the PM2, which is going to be the only one that's even close, but still even smaller yet. So if that tells you anything, this is a big old boy. And the thing about this knife is it's extremely comfortable in hand. If you have bigger hands, if you like bigger knives, this thing is well worth the $50 and then some. You have good access to the liner here with some jimping, easy to get to, easy to disengage, and then this guy is basically, because of that 4-inch blade, it's basically fall shut. I mean, you give it just anything at all, you know, just it's gonna go home. And she is rock solid, guys, rock solid. We're gonna put that to the test here in a second as well. We'll go ahead and check that edge. And believe it or not, this was the very first knife I ever got from Miguron. This is the knife that really put my attention on Miguron, and since I got this knife, I have bought a lot of Miguron and AM8 knives. They do such a fantastic job on their builds. I know this is sharp, so what the hell is going on? There we go. I was going to say I know it's sharp because I was just using it. It's definitely nice and sharp. I'm just an idiot. How does it do up against some cardboard? Like butter, guys. This thing just cuts right through it. And you got plenty of blade there to start your cut early and just use that edge. It is so nice. And then the other cool thing is, it is a little bit longer of a blade, but if you have bigger hands, you're still going to be able to get up close to that tip and still do your precise cuts if you need to, you know, do a nice straight cut or a precision cut, detailed cut. I really like this thing, guys. It's worth the money and then some. It's going to be a great poker as well if you do a lot of, you know, poking and then slicing. This thing does a great job at that as well. I've had this knife for probably a little over 2 years now, so it's seen its fair share of use. Has not been stropped, has not been sharpened, so, and it's still, you know, kicking. And that's kind of 14C28N at its core. It's very tough, it's very corrosion resistant, but the edge retention isn't the greatest, but it's easy to strop up, it's easy to sharpen up, and it keeps a working edge for a decent amount of time, especially if that geometry is right. Why don't we go ahead and we'll check that lock just to make sure that lock can handle a little bit of adversity. You are fairly early on the lockup, but I don't know that we're going to have any trouble with this guy. Yeah, she's rock solid, guys. I have never had any issues, and out of the box, this knife was extremely sharp, able to cut phone book paper like it was nothing. That magazine paper it was semi-struggling with, was half of it was me, and half of it is that, you know, I've beat up on this thing quite a bit over the last 2 years, but it would be easy to sharpen this thing right back up. No problem, no question about it. But this thing is just Miguron at its finest, guys. For $50, I think they're like $52, and you are getting a whole lot of knife for your money. Lefties can carry this very easily because they make it so the milled tie clip can be switched. You have a comfortable neutral handle here, easy to get to that lock, easy to disengage. You got multiple deployment options with the fuller on both sides and the flipper tab. You have a nice, useful drop point blade that's been crowned. I mean, this thing is awesome. It carries well. It's not going to be extremely deep due to that milled clip, but that's how milled clips work. You know, you can't bitch about a milled clip, but then complain about a lower mounted clip, you know, or a steel rollover clip. So there's different clips, and you know, they all kind of have their function. You can have a lower mounted clip and it be very easy to get in and out of the pocket. You can have a rollover clip that's going to be fairly high and keep the knife a little bit lower, but those might be a little bit more strugglesome to get it in and out of the pocket. And the milled clip, I think, is nice because you have the ability to kind of land here on your screws and get it in and out of the pocket that way, and you're not going to be affecting, you know, tension on this to the point where it's hard to get it out or hard to get it in. As far as the hardware, that might be the only thing they didn't nail. Okay, no, we got T8 on the body screws. So as old as this knife is, T8 pivot, T8 on the body screws. Nuh-uh. T8 on the clip. I didn't know that, guys. I was thinking T6 on the body screws, but these are T8s all the way around. And think about that. This knife is at least a year, if not 2 years old. And T8s are all the way around. Tie clip, pivot collars, reversible clip, T8s around, clean show side on the blade, clean looking pivot. I mean, they just nail everything, and it's 50 freaking bucks. Absolutely insane on Megaron's part, and they've continued that into 2023. I think I got this in 2021 or maybe 2022, but they just continue to get better and better and better and still keep their prices relatively low. 50, 60 bucks for 14C, G10, and a tie clip. They're even starting to experiment with micarta, so they're really finding the keys to my heart. 14C, micarta, and a tie clip for 50, 60 bucks. You can count me in all day on that. Megaron is one of my favorite companies, whether we're talking $50 knives or $150 knives. They just do a fantastic job on their knives and on their price points, using great materials. If you're looking for a new knife and you don't want to break the bank, or you're looking for a hard user, or you just want to scratch that itch and get yourself a new knife, this is one I would not look past. There's a bunch of different versions. There's also a 3.5-inch version. So if you want the big boy, make sure you're checking the specs online and getting the right one. You don't want to be shooting for the big boy and then accidentally get the smaller one. And albeit the smaller one is most likely fantastic as well, if you want the big one, make sure you are checking to get the big one. Let me know what you think of this guy down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this guy. Let me know what you think about Megaron. And if you don't know much about either, let me know what you're carrying. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see next. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. If you're new to the channel or you've been here before and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below the video. I would love to have you here. I'm going to throw up a couple new videos. Go check one of them out, and I will catch you on the next one.